According to new reporting from the Intercept, the Tea Party Patriots, a conservative organization that touts itself as a large grassroots group, is backed by three specific ultra-wealthy individuals, including Texas billionaire Christopher Goldsberry, who sold his salsa company to Campbell Soup.
According to data obtained by The Intercept, membership appears to be dwindling, dropping from a reported 3 million to 144,000 active members. Joining us now to discuss is the Director of Information Security at The Intercept, Micah Lee. Welcome, Micah. Good to have you. Now, let me ask you, tell me a bit more about this breach. Is there any blowback yet on Tea Party Patriots for exposing the donor data of these members? What are you hearing?
So Tea Party Patriots themselves have been pretty silent about this. I've basically after we contacted them for asking some questions, they sent an email to their newsletter about the breach, but I haven't actually heard much from Tea Party members.
Micah, can you tell us in kind of layman's terms, how easy it was for this hacker to breach the Tea Party Patriots data?
Yeah, so Tea Party Patriots is a conservative activist group, and so they do what a lot of activist groups do. They have like action alerts. They have petitions where you can go and sign your name and sometimes contact Congress. And so a hacker contacted me anonymously, sent me all of this data, like over 300 gigabytes of data. And I asked how it all worked. And what they said is they were just looking into Tea Party Patriots specifically because of some COVID-19 misinformation that they were promoting. And they found a petition. It was like an old petition just to like a pledge to wear red on Trump's birthday. They in their browser, they viewed the source, and then there's this API key in the source. And so this is basically like a password. And they tested it, and it turned out that it gave them access to everything. And so they basically were able to use an administrator API key that was just published on every single petition to download all of this data.
This is fascinating. So Tea Party Patriots at their height was an extremely influential conservative group. I think, as your reporting indicates, and as I think we know, they've dwindled in their relevance, and I would assume even probably budget in terms of what they're putting into, their cybersecurity infrastructure. But let me ask you this. I mean, we've seen breaches at the RNC, the DNC, some of these major institutions that should have the ability to protect donor data and this internal information. How vulnerable is, the average political organization that does have the funding to do this, but are they doing it?
I mean, I think that everybody, for the most part, is somewhat vulnerable. I think that it's a really hard thing to protect all of your donor data. I think with Tea Party Patriots, this was an especially trivial issue. Like I would hope that most organizations, it wouldn't be this easy. But cybersecurity is hard.
And so what else did you learn about the organization and how it compares to what the organization says about itself publicly?
So one thing that I noticed is that, all over their website and their marketing, they basically say that they have 3 million supporters. And the data that we got, it's possible the data is incomplete. It's possible that this is only the data that was in their web database, and maybe they have more members than this because of people signing up at in-person events or things like that. But basically, we got information from a little less than 500,000 people. And this was going all the way back to 2009. And so this whole 3 million people seems like that's like wildly exaggerated. But these 500,000 people, there's a ton of information about them, like their home addresses and phone numbers and everything like that. And of these 500,000, 144,000 are marked active.
So you mentioned the motivation behind the hacker who reached out, which was obviously took issue with some of the disinformation or perceived disinformation they were sharing. But how can you trust? Can you verify the information he shared? And have you been able to build a bigger picture yourself to confirm that this is in fact accurate data that he shared with you?
We have been able to verify pieces of the data, and it's just so much data that it's kind of impossible to verify all of it. But for example, some of the super wealthy donors that we found in the data, we actually had found some news reporting about those exact specific donations. And we had also verified some of the data by looking at old petitions that said here's a petition from 2017, and then we went and found that exact petition on archive.org, and the numbers of signers were exactly the same, and things like that. So basically, we verified that chunks of the data were definitely accurate, and the hacker also, showed me how the hack happened, and it looked very, very legitimate and convincing. This is exactly how that type of hack would work.
You also reported that there is an ongoing criminal investigation into the hack. Do you have any updates on that?
So after before we published the story, after I reached out to the Tea Party Patriots for asking questions, trying to get a comment from them, they never actually ended up replying to me. But I did get a call from a sheriff in Georgia who said that they were investigating the cyber attack. And so basically all that I know is that Tea Party Patriots did go to law enforcement, and law enforcement was looking into this, but I don't have more updates than that.
Well, let me ask you this. How frequent do you think these sort of ideologically targeted hacks are going to take place?
I mean, I don't see it going away. There was, a big kind of spree of them several years ago, and it's slowed down. But yeah, I think that this is not gonna stop.
It would seem so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Micah, great reporting. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And we'll have more Rising for you right after this.